and
Yeah.
being delighted when you did. I remember you made amazing, was it lemon poppy seed cake when I did a workshop there a few
Oh,
years
yeah. Yeah.
and it's just like I didn't know you, but it just made me feel so again held and welcome. But I think that's partly why I felt a bit tearful. Now I can drive, now I can be there, like enjoy
Right.
classes and just the vision, like how integral it is to Westport, how like it's just so lovely that it's taken root and it yeah,
Yes. Yes,
I don't know why I'm feeling
absolutely
a bit
true.
tearful today. It's like, but it's
That's
such a
okay.
glorious place. It's really gorgeous.
Yeah, it really is special. It really is
Yeah,
special. And I think you can really feel,
yeah.
the
The love.
intention and the
Yeah,
love and the work that's
yeah,
gone into
yeah,
us, into making a really authentic
yeah,
space is what it
yeah,
is. If you come to my class or Derek's or,
yeah,
our other teachers, all very unique classes,
yeah,
very different styles of teaching, but um, yeah, all very authentic,
yeah,
very much us, So
yeah.
you would never catch me floating off the mat.
Hi, you're listening to episode 83 of the Feel Better Everyday podcast. I'm your host, Eve Menezes Cunningham, and I'm here to help people with trauma, ADHD, AuDHD, take better care of yourselves, create a life you don't need to retreat from, and help build a world in which everyone feels safe, welcome, and loved, able to thrive. So you can access full show notes, the transcript, links, and loads of other resources through the feelbettereverydaypodcast.com and selfcarecoaching.net. And I really hope you enjoy my interview with the delightful Elizabeth Potts. She's one of my favourite yoga teachers. And I really look forward to hearing your comments and questions and what you're going to do to give yourself as much grace as possible as you build community that is nourishing and supportive for yourself as well as for others. Enjoy. Welcome, Elizabeth Potts. Thank you so much for joining me. Um, so, as a little bit of background, today's episode is kind of like why it's sometimes so much easier to hold space for others than it is to allow ourselves to be held and cared for. And I know, like, I adore the work I do, and I struggle to relax into other people's space holding, trauma, ADHD, all the rest of it. And when I joined the yoga route a couple months ago now, I think, because I only learnt to drive. So I knew you a little bit. I knew Derek, but
Mhm.
your first class I attended, I nearly wept with gratitude. Seriously, I cannot tell you just how amazing that space felt and how I hadn't realized how much I needed it. I hadn't like, and
Yeah.
I'm just going to as many classes as I can, just absolutely loving it. Um, but I wanted to thank you for being here and to also ask you to introduce yourself, say what you do. I've kind of launched in, and
Thank you.
where can people find you?
Yeah, so I'm teaching out of the yoga route um, almost every day. And yeah, yoga teacher slash mother slash all around everything. So I'm busy, but I really love the work that I do. You said you're really
Yeah,
passionate about your work, and what you said is why I really love the work that I do because it's a
yeah,
very connected type
yeah,
of work. I'm not just sitting and pushing buttons or something like that, but I'm
yeah,
actually, feeling like the push and pull between my students,
yeah,
my inner self as I'm teaching, as I'm practicing, and teaching has become very much a part of my personal yogic
yeah,
practice as well.
yeah,
So, yeah, and Yoga Root, we've been open 5 years now, and it has been just, yeah, an amazing space to come
Yeah,
into with Derek and Connor, the owners, and to kind of create this community here that me and Derek really wanted as teachers
yeah,
previously who were kind of teaching around at all different places. We
yeah.
really wanted a space that was warm and ours and developed, um, into something that could really nurture people. And so, yeah, I feel like we've really been able to create that over the
Absolutely.
years.
Yeah, I remember. So I met Derek. I covered one of his classes when I first moved to Ireland in 2019.
Oh, yeah.
And I was in a studio rental. It was this teeny tiny, like a friend called it a glorified shed. And I had a cupboard and like not a proper bed. And Rainbow, my cat, was basically, she was so traumatized by the journeys and all the moves. And the first time I ever met Derek, he went straight over to my bed to talk to Rainbow. And he was like, I'd mentioned Rainbow to everyone who'd been there, but he was like
Yeah.
the first person who made a beeline for her. And it was just like, I remember him saying about wanting to create this space and
Yeah.
being delighted when you did. I remember you made amazing, was it lemon poppy seed cake when I did a workshop there a few
Oh,
years
yeah. Yeah.
and it's just like I didn't know you, but it just made me feel so again held and welcome. But I think that's partly why I felt a bit tearful. Now I can drive, now I can be there, like enjoy
Right.
classes and just the vision, like how how integral it is to Westport, how like it's just so lovely that it's taken root and it yeah,
Yes. Yes.
I don't know why I'm feeling
Absolutely
a bit
true.
tearful today. It's like, but it's
That's
such a
okay.
glorious place. It's really gorgeous.
Yeah, it really is special. It really is
Yeah,
special. And I think you can really feel,
yeah.
the
Love.
intention and the
Yeah,
love and the work that's
yeah,
gone into
yeah,
us, into making a really authentic
yeah,
space is what it
yeah,
is. If you come to my class or Derek's or,
yeah,
our other teachers, all very unique classes,
yeah,
very different styles of teaching, but, um, yeah, all very authentic,
yeah,
very much us. So
yeah,
you would never catch me floating off the mat. I'm
yeah.
definitely, yeah, a real kind of
Human.
connection person. Yeah.
Yeah,
So if I'm
yeah,
having a bad day, I like to kind of let people know that, hey, I'm tired too. I'm there with you, and let's
yeah,
let's move. And because I honestly believe that
yeah,
stepping onto your mat, just
yeah,
stepping onto it is enough action
yeah,
to help you through
yeah.
whatever's going on. So,
And also by not arguing with reality, by acknowledging that you're tired rather than trying to perform. I
right.
mean, you've just explained why your classes are, you're one of my all-time favorite teachers. And it is that kind of rather than I'm going to plow through, I'm going to, it's like, no,
Yeah.
no, everyone
Yeah.
is struggling, everyone is suffering, and everyone is joyful. Everyone, like, it's all of it. It's
Yeah,
welcoming.
we have all the things.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, being on your mat, doing your practice,
Yeah.
like it's meant to be a very personal thing.
Yeah.
And so if you're,
Yeah.
feeling like you have to perform, it's hard to be in
Yeah.
your personal space. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So in terms of my feel love heal framework, so the feel bit is the active self-care, the kind of when you've got the energy, the bandwidth to do something that might help you feel better, regulate
Mhm.
your nervous system, whatever that might be. What would be your ideal and what is realistic with life?
Yeah.
Hectic, hectic life.
So I'd be a very creative type person, so ideally I would be every day doing some bit of art.
Yeah.
I take watercolor classes from one of my students. I take pottery classes with one of
Amazing.
my friends. And yeah, it's a really good way of kind of exploring
Yeah.
my mind and my feelings and stuff
Yeah.
like that through creating something tangible in front of me. So
Yeah.
ideally, I'd be doing that all the time, but of course, childcare really comes
Yeah.
into play a lot. So, creatively, if I can't go to a class, if I can't do something like this, um, journaling
Yeah.
and um, creating something in front of me that way is very good. Watercolor is very good for that as well because it's just
Yeah.
a small kit you can just pop open anywhere, but also with Ophelia, my daughter, you know, creating things with her, right? So we
Yeah.
would bake together, or we really, really like going on little walks, and she makes these little collections. She calls her lections.
Oh.
And we bring back the lections to make art projects. So we would make little
Cool.
nature scene or something like that.
Yeah.
And it kind of helps me to be in
Yeah.
my body and creative while
Yeah.
also doing the mommy thing.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
it's a doable little bit of self-care, you
So
know.
you have the being held with the yoga student who's also your art teacher or the pottery teacher, and then you're
Mm-hmm.
also sharing that and connecting with your gorgeous daughter. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's so lovely. So what about when you don't have the bandwidth, when you like I call it love and like thinking of the love archetype. So ideal world when you know you don't need to do a thing. You're already whole, you're already perfect. There's no need to improve anything, but also
Yeah.
giving yourself grace when that's too hard and you need to do something like distract, but
Yeah.
the kind of that connection with that uppercase self, that like highest, truest, wisest, most miraculous part of yourself. Would you say anything there?
So on like a very small level, when I have no bandwidth, and that could happen a lot,
Yeah,
um, I find like just breath work
yeah,
does a lot for me. So even if,
yeah,
I have a lot going on, I'm stressing out, and I find myself in that moment going, holding my breath and holding that tension and everything like that. The simple act of,
hmm,
I like to think it's just this little reset
yeah,
going from everything's falling apart to being like, okay, stop.
yeah,
Actually, this is what's going on. It's
yeah,
kind of a way for me to reset my mind because I would have struggled a lot in my past with
mm,
anxiety and
yeah,
depression.
hmm,
And it's easy, especially when that's kind of in your history, to
yeah,
slip back into those things. It can kind of creep up on you.
yeah,
So in my yoga practice, that's been immensely helpful in that way because it's brought me into the space of really noticing
yeah,
small things like my shoulders tensing up, my neck
yeah,
getting tight, things like that, where you're just like, but
mm,
realizing like, oh no, this is me taking on this big held breath,
yeah,
and in the very small, short span of time,
mm,
that breath out can
mm,
actually do a lot to say, I'm okay in this
yeah,
moment. I'm okay. It's okay,
yeah,
and I can take this next step forward.
mm,
Um, I like to start my mornings. I started doing this. I'm only a single mom this year, so it's been a huge transition.
yeah.
And that transition was also kind of in one of the worst ways it could
I'm so
happen. So,
sorry.
dealing with like the emotional fallout of this
Yeah,
shocking event in my life, something I
mm,
just did not expect
yeah,
to happen, but also didn't expect to, have a daughter in this position
yeah,
either. And so I started just first thing in the morning, setting up Ophelia with her breakfast and whatever else, and, kind of getting her into a little tucked spot.
yeah,
And then making my coffee, and I come sit in my bed and I open the window and I stare at this plant and at this window. And I just give myself to the end of that cup of coffee. And I mean, that's a big goal when you have a 5-year-old to
I'm
drink
thinking
that
that is
whole cup of
impressive.
coffee.
That is, yeah,
Yeah. But I give myself,
yeah,
I'm going to drink my cup of coffee, even if I wake up late,
yeah,
even if I haven't slept all night and really I could sleep 10 more minutes or whatever. It's become such an important part of my routine to sit and mindfully drink my cup of coffee. And I say mindfully as in I'm not scrolling my phone,
Yeah.
I'm not planning my day. I'm noticing the things that are popping up in my head and
Yeah.
then practicing not judging myself for that
Yeah.
because it will pop up. You only have 20 minutes to do it. And you need to get her ready and you need to get out the door and you need to plan your
Yeah.
class and and noticing all that bubbling up. And then I'm just drinking my coffee. I'm
Yeah.
just looking at the leaves. I'm
Yeah.
just looking out the window. It's been an incredibly powerful small
Yeah.
practice in my life to the
Yeah.
point where I cannot start my day without it. It's so important to me.
That is fantastic. That is so lovely. And I also really appreciate you sharing the struggle with it. I imagine it's again like when you're teaching yoga and everyone looks so serene, but you also know from your own practice that serene people can be feeling really struggly underneath.
Yes,
Um,
yes,
I noticed like with the classes, because I hadn't been to classes for so long, and also
right.
now knowing I have autism and ADHD and the sensory issues that I just didn't understand, as well as the trauma
Yeah,
history. So when I started going to classes in London and I did my training in London, and there'd be like someone's foot in your nose, and I'd just be like, and I'd
yeah,
feel
yeah,
I just thought like, why am I so sensitive? What's wrong with me? And like
yeah,
it would be an empty class and someone would come right next to me. Whereas training in trauma-informed yoga, doing all the things, all the work I've done over the decades, but then in these classes recently, putting on my eye mask and lying down before the class begins. And I could
yes,
never have dreamed of doing that. And I'll always be on one of the edges where
yeah,
I make sure I
yeah,
get there early.
yeah,
But it's like sometimes it's like I'm just telling myself, it's okay, Evie Cat, you're safe. It's okay. And it's
yes,
like it's such a
yes,
gorgeous, safe, nourishing, phenomenal space. And I'm still at nearly 50 having to talk so gently to myself because it's like you have those moments of complete ease and connection and peace, and then the
yeah,
fear or the rush or the whatever it is. And I think people don't
right.
understand that about meditation or about anything like that. It's the practice, the constantly bringing yourself back.
Absolutely. It is exactly that. That's why you call it a practice.
Yeah.
It's always a practice. It's
Yeah.
never a mastery of, because I mean, this is something that I've worked for years and years and years and years to be able to come into a chaotic
Yeah.
situation and read myself. Simply
Yeah.
read myself has taken so many years.
Yeah.
And it's very normal for students to step into the room and we come in with expectations, you know, on ourselves, expecting what other people are going to think as I move, expecting what the teacher's going to think when she watches me, and the same with the teacher, looking out. And you come in with these expectations of what
Yeah.
people are going to want out of this class. And that took years to
Yeah.
say, this is what I offer. This
Yeah.
is what it is. And that's okay. And that's
Mhm.
enough. And that's worthwhile,
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
And the
And
same as the student coming in, putting on your eye mask,
yeah,
that is enough and that is worthwhile. That is an offering as much to yourself as it is to the teacher and the other people around you because you are taking your practice personally.
mm,
And that is the very core of what we're trying to practice is taking care of ourselves so that our stability, wellness, realness can reverberate out,
yeah,
to the bigger self.
yeah.
So
Yeah, and I'm also thinking you're talking about that coffee being so important. And little Ophelia, is she
yeah,
well trained in terms of letting mummy drink her coffee in peace, or a
definitely not.
typical 5-year-old?
Definitely not. She comes in 150 times and I'm like, Ophelia, thank you so much for telling me that. You know what? I'm just going to finish my
Yeah,
coffee and then I'm going to come out to you or whatever.
yeah,
And a lot of times that's her rolling in my lap. And I find like if she comes and she wants to play and be on me, like I will set my coffee
yeah,
aside and I will focus
yeah,
on this in the moment right here
yeah,
and then say, okay, why don't you go brush your teeth? I'm gonna finish my coffee, and really, really just making that effort to
yeah,
try, just to try. And I mean, most mornings I don't get my entire cup of coffee, but I do get, the mental entire
yeah,
cup of coffee because
yeah,
even if I get 2 minutes,
yeah,
I'm gonna look out that window. I'm gonna
yeah,
sip this and feel the hot coffee on my tongue
yeah.
and know that I'm starting this day okay. I'm okay in this moment. So
And it would be like, I mean, what you're doing there, the not arguing with reality, the like, hello, like, here you
yeah.
are, I'm going to
Oh.
focus on you, rather
Yeah.
than I'm going to stay completely focused on my coffee. And then
Yeah,
you're missing your, like, it makes it all punitive. Um,
exactly. You're missing the whole point then.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you've mentioned like the pottery classes, the art classes, obviously the community at the yoga route. In terms of the heal element, that kind of post-traumatic growth, the co-regulation, the collective care, what helps you and what would you like others to know or consider?
So it helps me a lot talking to other people. I'm not a very private person,
Yeah,
I think, I've always really liked working through problems with others. I'm very
yeah,
community driven. So I have, friends or, I might call home. I talk a lot to my mom who is retired now and she has like the time for me, to go through my little thoughts, but I do like to kind of pick apart. But what I crave, what I feel is missing a lot here is like that village feel.
mm-hmm.
And it's not like Ireland and
Mm,
Westport. It's our society in
mm,
2025. We're very focused on our own lives, our own stuff, our own things, and it's like we kind of forget that there's a world of people around us that are, helping to feed our higher selves and our
mm,
souls as we're helping to feed theirs.
yeah,
And so, um, I've been asking around lately about like support groups for single moms and,
yeah,
just simple stuff that
yeah,
just doesn't really exist here where I am,
yeah.
and I find that surprising as it's a major need.
Absolutely. That shocks me. That really shocks
Yeah, yeah.
me.
And there's a lot of
Yeah,
moving parts. The system here and now is set up for a nuclear family
mm,
who has lived here all their lives.
yeah,
Okay, so not just being a single mom, but one that's not from here
yeah,
is very complicated.
yeah,
There's a childcare crisis, there's a housing crisis, there's,
yeah,
all sorts of things going on
yeah,
top of you just balancing your normal load. And on top of it, you can't afford to pay rent as an individual,
yeah,
to have childcare as an individual. And there's mental health care,
yeah,
a healthcare in general, but mental health
yeah,
care crisis as well,
absolutely.
where there's a
Yeah,
huge shortage, there's a
mm,
huge lack that is not being filled by people
yeah,
around. So everybody has this internal, buzz of work all
yeah,
the time and anxiety over not just
yeah,
your needs, your children, and everyone else, and you do feel so alone.
yeah.
So I feel
And
like when I'm in the studio, it's a healing space for me as well
yeah,
because I get connection. I get
mm,
um, poured into as I'm
hmm,
pouring out, I
yeah,
feel that give and take from my students. So yeah, having that in the wider world. Would be amazing, So any single moms listening, definitely let's set up a support group. Let's help each
Yeah,
other out. Let's get some
yeah.
ideas rolling because yeah.
And I'm thinking, like, the way you're talking, really hear that, like, absolutely. And I'm also aware people who have technically from the outside looking in that support the extended family, all the dynamics that go with that, all the
Yes.
angst that can go with that. And
Yes.
like they probably need support as well in terms of somewhere to vent. And
100%. A
I mean,
hundred
it's
percent.
such a tough job to be
Yeah.
like responsible for keeping another human alive and like
Yes. Yeah. Even keeping this human alive is complex, much less another mini one. Yeah. It's just, yeah, it's a
Ah,
lot. It's a lot to
well,
balance.
thank you so much for joining me. You're going to stay on for the circle for a few minutes for some bonus content there. But anything you'd like to share in, like, would you like people to find you on Insta or anywhere else, or any websites you'd like to plug, or?
Well, the Yoga Root in Westport, definitely come visit us. Yogaroot.org has all our schedule. You can read about the teachers and, find our email there. So if you have any questions, I hear all the time people saying, but I can't touch my toes. I can't go, so it's like, this is the whole point. We want you to touch your toes and we want you to touch, your heart internally. And it's a big part of our work to hold the community the way that we do. So definitely, yeah, giving us a visit sometime would be amazing.
Yeah, and I cannot recommend them highly enough. It is absolutely gorgeous. I'm thinking all the studios I've ever been to, like London, New York, Essex, and this is by far my favorite. It's just
Thank you,
like,
Eve.
yeah.
Thank you.
And
I
also
completely agree. I am not biased. I
yeah.
agree. I mean, it's special. It really is.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
the views, like walking and like being able to swim if the tide is right, and you have tide times
Yes.
like as well, don't you? So
Yes, we
yeah.
do. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
The access to the key is amazing. So, yeah.
Ah, thanks a million.
Thank you so much for having me, Eve. It's been really nice.
You're so welcome. Thanks so much for listening. Um, this episode, like all of them, was produced by me, your host, Eve Menezes Cunningham. You can access the full transcript and show notes and links and more information about the Soul to Soul Circle, the book, all of it at selfcarecoaching.net and the feelbettereverydaypodcast.com. If this was helpful, please leave a 5-star review, like, subscribe, comment, share. In a world where so much is coming up for healing, so much of the time, so many people are feeling unsafe, I want to do as much as I can to support people with trauma histories, ADHD, AuDHD, and your learning to take better care of yourself isn't just good for you, it helps create a ripple effect. And that is going to help others heal as well. If you haven't already listened to episode 81 with the delightful Gina from the Peace Begins at Home Summit, I just so love, it's the same message, but she's doing it on a much, much bigger scale. Your taking care of yourself has a ripple effect and helps the world. So Mila Buikas, 1,000 thank yous, and I look forward to sharing more next week for World Kindness Day, because I never talk about being kind to yourself. It's not a cliche at all, but it is so important. So lots of love from the west of Ireland.